last.
Long, long before Dalamud was forged to imprison an Elder Primal, the eldest of them all, savior of the star, was sealed within a moon of his own.
So we made it. We're on the moon. The Endwalker trailer was not lying to us. We actually do go to the moon, and upon arriving, we see in the distance a tower, Mare Lamentorum, Moonbase. We see Moonbase in the distance, and we immediately bump into a spirit, ghost, echo of an ancient.
No, first we bump into another massive flex, Final Fantasy XIV. What if I just turn the planet ever so lightly in the expansion to be like, hey, wouldn't you like to see this side of the map? You cheeky little game, you sly little dog, you.
They did not need to do that.
No, it could have just stayed static and we would have been like, well, you know, it's rotating slowly. Whatever.
It was wholly unnecessary, but they do it.
We didn't have to go to the moon. The moon could have broke and it could have come to us. Zodiark inside. That could have been like a multi-plane or a hangout dimension or maybe just Olympus's decorated apartment. But I'm glad we went here, and there's structures on the moon. Ancient Aliens gets a win. And it's hollow, too. Oh, my God.
You lost me at Olympus's apartment. I really want to go there. You think he's a granite countertypes kind of guy?
I think those have moon-like patterns.
There's so many of my favorite tropes in here. I love the archetype that the Watcher embodies. For me, going all the way back to the Last Crusade and having the knight standing guard over the Grail. Like this ancient being that has stood watch for eons. Ooh, I love it. Ooh, I love that kind of shit. Also, basically the jailer of Zodiark, which is really funny if I think about playing Shadowlands at the same time.
Yeah, just don't compare them. It's fine. It doesn't need to be.
You can't help it. I lived my life. This is the life I lived.
Yes. Filled with regret, one looks upon the scene differently. I didn't play that game, and I'm happy to say I have no connections in my brain.
Yeah. Anyway, the Watcher immediately just launches into informing us that like the broken seals are the Watcher's trying to fix them. These swords around. It's just Zodiark's prison. It's just there. We're just looking right at it. We're looking right at Zodiark. Zodiark's there. The prison is there. We're seeing it. And the Watcher launches in to explain that it's all broken except for one of these swords, like one of these seals keeping the prison together. The Watcher's trying to fix the rest of them, but they're weakened because as the prison was weakened, it's unleashed these manifestations of the souls that were sacrificed to Zodiark. And so that explains like at least the very first Ascian Amoritine ancient shade that we saw when we were walking on the moon there. To add to the complications, there's a dog.
Well, that's easy. That part's easy.
How the f*** is that easy?
We have a friend on the moon. That's a classic like Navi and the Deku tree. There is a being, some sort of guardian of a zone, of an area, of a terrain type, sends one of their servants to help you. And I believe this shiny dog is but a servant to one we're going to meet here. And soon we'll be watching a gentle hand pet the head.
I have no idea what to make of the dog. The dog really threw me for a loop. So we meet who I consider our friend on the moon.
Yes, a good friend.
Yeah, we meet a familiar spirit, Hythlo Deus, but the real Hythlo, not Emmett's creation. And Hythlo like immediately recognizes us, quote unquote, the unmistakable color, the soul of Azim. This was so well done as someone who immediately grabbed onto Hythlo Deus and thought Hythlo Deus was like such a cool part of Shadowbringers. I love this moment, and I love that for a moment, essentially the Warrior of Light is confused, and Hythlo Deus has to explain, no, I'm not what you just described to me that Emmett created. I'm the original. I'm actual Hythlo Deus, because I went through the exact same immediate confusion and realization as I played through this, which I thought was really cool.
I love that he was like, that's kind of weird of Emmett.
That it sounds exactly like my old buddy.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Hythlo's not surprised at all.
That old
Emmett
weirdo.
That old sentimental nerd.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, Emmett had a lot of guilt when it came to Hythlo Deus, and here we're meeting him in his consumed ghost form.
And then Hythlodaeus goes on to impart on us that all of the souls sacrificed to Zodiark remember every, as Hythlodaeus puts it, vivid detail of the events leading up to what he describes as their purgatory, as well as what came after. Even mentions they remember Hydaelyn and the Sundering. So like they have, their mind is a safe. They remember it all. Although why Hythlodaeus has so much more to say and seems to have so much more of his like mental station compared to the other shades we speak to, I don't know.
I think this might be a personal interpretation, but when fear took over in the final days, what Zodiark was made to save everyone from, there were those who embraced fear and those who kept their sanity, like Hythlodaeus. And that's why he continues to appear in this steady form. Does not flicker, does not fade. He was a strong spirit.
Xenos and Fandaniel successfully destroy the final seal while we're too busy chatting up Hythlodaeus, basically. And, you know, dude, if only I could have seen this coming. Nabrialis is sundered.
That's not an argument. I have to listen to Fandaniel go on about shit all the time. He's sundered.
Yeah, but he's not going to become some crazy, let's dispense with titles.
You don't know that. you don't know that.
Probably not. Probably not. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel really good.
That I was so extremely wrong?
No, that they were aware of the holes that would be presented in their own story. Had they have done the save it for the end thing. You can't rejoin us all. It's an MMO. But you gotta say like, hey, I just started the game. You want to come see me in Ul'dah? Nah, man. Sorry, I'm rejoined. Can't access your part of the game anymore.
I mean, the stones to do something like that, I would respect it.
I would respect it too.
They've already shown that they will just plop us in another body and make us play as that body. We might still get rejoined, buddy.
It could still happen. It could unhappen. However, there is an issue. What does a fully rejoined Zodiark do? What are his powers? How dangerous is that? How impossibly surmountable is that? What are you going to do with Fandaniel? A lot of people are already kind of teetering on the edge. People are getting fed up with Fandaniel at this point. You had to do patch after patch. You had to wait. This guy's still talking. Not everybody's a fan. Xenos is still there too. Something has to give. And with those two ideas in mind, Zodiark not really working as a final bad guy, and Fandaniel frustrating the hell out of the audience, a perfect marriage was made.
In my defense, Fandaniel didn't become a giant monster like Emmett did. He Gundam piloted into one.
Yeah, he climbed inside because there was a vacancy in the pilot seat.
Get in the mech, Fandaniel, or Elidibus will have to do it again.
Or Xenos was going to get in or something, right?
I guess Xenos was going to get in. That's what I took from all. Yeah. We can get into that, but that's what I took away from it.
Yeah, well, Xenos seemed a little shocked. He seemed a little surprised at the...
I'm surprised Xenos wasn't like more openly pissed or like show up to help us fight. I figured Xenos would have been furious about Fandaniel. Because to me, what I took away from this, and I think it's basically proven by Fandaniel's final words, was that... Or no, not final words. As he loads up in the Zodiark, he even says, this will work anyway, or something like that. But like, I think it's basically proven that the plan was for Xenos to ride Zodiark, not Fandaniel. But Fandaniel just gets too excited, does it himself. And I really was expecting Xenos to have more to say about this. But whatever the case is, Fandaniel casts himself, Slope style, back off the cliff into Zodiark's prison, takes Elidibus's place as his heart. I love the scene with the Ascian masks because I'm reading them as the souls of those who were sacrificed to Zodiark. I'm pretty sure
Absolutely.
That's a safe read to make. And they
that's what Hades was doing when he was showing the faces of those that he was responsible for. Absolutely.
And they're not too happy with Fandaniel. It's I can think of too soon executives from World of Warcraft. It's too soon. Zodiark's not whole. Zodiark is not fully powered up, not fully rejoined. And if my math is correct, Zodiark is one time less rejoined than the Warrior of Light because we met Ardbert on the first and were able to rejoin with our piece, our shard, without triggering a rejoining with the first.
I think that's why Xenos didn't interrupt. I think it'd be a good show. He wanted to say, because if we fail there, we're not worth fighting anyway. He wanted to see us succeed. That's good TV. But I agree. We are extra rejoined compared to Zodiark, which is why it doesn't work out if you save him to the very end. Why this is the right story call.
And Fandaniel don't care about how mad the souls are, just like they smoke away. A familiar stranger appears to hype us up. Another unmasked ancient, Kyle, in the style of how Hydaelyn appeared to us, and we could not figure this out live. We couldn't do it. And upon reviewing footage for this video, I feel well and truly absurd for not having put this together. It's excruciatingly obvious.
Yeah? Okay, give it to me. I have not rewatched the scene since we did the stream live. For this very purpose, sell me.
I'll do better than that. I'll show you.
Believe and walk in faith. Let the light of your soul shine for all to see.
Could be coincidence. Continue.
Oh my god, no! It's just freaking Hythlodaeus!
Things could be familiar. Multiple things could be familiar.
No, it's so clearly Hythlodaeus.
Hythlodaeus doesn't strike me as a ponytail man.
Oh my.
Maybe he does. Actually, maybe he's a bit of a hippie. Yeah, maybe it does work out.
That is not a hippie ponytail. That is like a lovely little short,
it's
very
the nervous
well braided,
grab. It's so he can grab it when he gets nervous in class. Okay, so in the moment we thought it was Emmett because we keep expecting him to be on the moon at some point.
It kind of sounded like Emmett's more relaxed voice to me, and some people got really
British
mad. Whatever. His voice sounds so different in the trailer and in the narrational cutscenes than he ever sounded in Shadowbringers. Sue me.
Well, and if he, and he has the white hair now, which means he's been like purified or something like that. So now he's more relaxed and chill.
Maybe. Well, didn't Hydaelyn also have white hair when she appeared to us in her unmasked ancient form?
But she's just doing the mommy big hair thing, so I wasn't reading the white hair thing there.
Yeah, but we've only seen 2 unmasked ancients, and they both have white hair.
Yeah, so there's a white hair motif thing. But either way, purity, with the white hair, it's a thing. It's a thing you do in the animes when you become powerful.
Mommy.
Sorry? I think your familiar evidence is the weakest, but I do think you're right. I think that the fact that we're in the belly of the beast, where Hythlodaeus would be in his most complete form, not a shade on the outside of the seal, is where we would meet him in person. However, the game with its where is playing games here. So, I don't know.
If the familiar fits, you must acquit.
I think you are right because of the Hades kind of tone at the end here. That is very much a Hythlodaeus thing to do. To chide Hades.
So we channel the Spirit of Asm and call in our canonical duty finder.
There you go. You got your crystal. We finally looked at crystal. You were looking forward to that. Congratulations.
And this is where Fandaniel and now we're staring at this visage of Zodiark rising from the darkness. I love
the mask and the broken arms and everything going on there.
It's good. When does he lose the mask? Was that a phase change that I didn't realize? Because by the end, it's like this full-on monstrous. Looks like Goliath the gargoyle hulking out.
Yeah, it's I'm wondering if it's supposed to kind of like be a little bit of Fandaniel-y because it's a little humanoid for what I expected the god of ultimate evil to be.
It's very Final Fantasy. This is where Fandaniel explains what I take as the original plan was for Xenos to fight as Zodiark or take over, pilot the Zodiark, I guess. The fight's incredible. I would love to stall in a way that would infuriate our audience and go and do the extreme immediately.
Well, you can't, right? Because extremes unlock at max level. So
that's right. Shit, we have to hit 90.
This was honestly one of the most interesting MMO fights I've ever seen. The turning platform business messed with my mind, but really, the constellations firing out from the distance and spiraling in was so cool.
I loved it for you. I was immediately dismissive. Kyle's like, oh, it's the shape of the constellations. And I'm like, that is obviously the incorrect read that Kyle would make because that's too fluffy. You can't do that. And immediately like the first star's hit and it's in the constellation pattern. I'm like, oh my God, leave it to the astrologian to call this absolutely perfectly.
But the straight lines into a spin, that's a Rubik's Cube to me. My brain don't work that way.
That one I picked up pretty darn quick and it made me feel good. I think I got the first spin wrong But I love it. I love that mechanic. That's like, send me more of that, please. I liked it. I liked it. That's a fun puzzle to figure out for me. That's my kind of puzzle.
I was just chain dying. The shapes in the portals, that's pretty easy to do. I'm curious to see what sort of hell they unleash in the extreme version of that.
I can only imagine. And it's like a spiritual successor to Shinryu. You got another square arena. You have a plot very similar to Xenos's, a plot originally meant for Xenos to essentially pilot some great and powerful being to fight us. Like, I know it's only the first trial of the whole expansion, but I'm kind of hoping it's a transformative extreme in the way Shinryu was.
Even then, it was an update to Shinryu because he moved about the platform. Not only the platform turning, but he would take moments to fly and reposition.
It was gnarly. It was a great fight. Absolutely stellar freaking fight. And on normal, no less. We defeat Zodiark at level 83. And true to what he's been saying the entire time, dying was always in Fandaniel's plans, and it still is in his plans, even if he's Zodiark, and he and Zodiark die in unison. He says, quote,
"All I wanted was for you to kill Zodiac."
One of the many methods to achieve the same effect. He really spells it out that, like, doesn't matter. All I wanted I wanted to die, and I wanted to kill Zodiark. The fact that I am Zodiark and you're killing us both in the same, it's like, cool. Everything is proceeding as planned, just slightly different than planned. Here's another invocation of, like, it would have been the same had Xenos died in my place, which is why I was like, oh yeah, no, I definitely wanted Xenos to be, the original plan was for Xenos to be in Zodiark. And it wouldn't matter. Because if the final days are successful, Fandaniel dies anyway. Yeah, so Fandaniel just saw a chance and went for it, is kind of how this comes down to, as he eulogizes himself in his final moments. And I feel really, once again, vindicated with what I saw as a small detail that I really grabbed onto, which was that I don't even think of Fandaniel as Fandaniel since we met him in the Tower of Zod. Even though it says Fandaniel, I've been reading that shit as Amon the entire time. And we get to see Amon here in Fandaniel's final moments. And so to me, I feel vindicated. Like, Fandaniel is Amon, not like he doesn't give a shit about Fandaniel. That's Amon.
It's poetic too, because the Allegans played at being God. And Fandaniel was a perversion of an Allegan who now took it too far. And Allegan Tech getting us to this moment, it just works. It's such a great through line through the Ascians, through the Allegans, and everything they've set up so far with the Ancients.
So we find out that killing Zodiark marks the beginning of the final days. Thanks for the warning, Heidelin.
He's an integral piece to the structure of the universe.
What do you make of that evil voice that laughing as it delivers that line?
At last.
Evil? The new villain? I think this is too teasery.
Was there? Yeah, I don't have enough information to go from here. After this, there's a lot of talk about just how strained Heidelin is. Is Heidelin going nutty? Because the release of not having to try and maintain Zodiark's prison. Did we just cause like a Heidelin schism?
If you're doing the balance storyline, that is possible that a new evil Heidelin was birthed to maintain whatever the status quo is. But looking at this caduceus laser thing and watching the world bleed black, seems to me things are out of balance anyway, and an evil Heidelin wouldn't help anybody. That wouldn't be useful.
Heidelin's interesting because we spend this entire time, we did one more quest after all this, and we went and hung out with the Watcher in the moon base and read the Watcher's journal entries that date all the way back to the original imprisoning of Zodiark and Heidelin even creating the moon in the first place. And so much of the focus is on how strenuous this entire imprisoning of Zodiark is for Heidelin.
To me, that speaks like just of how unnatural this is to maintain. We have not reached an equilibrium.
Yeah.
This was not a good move.
I've had my little pet theory that we're also going to have to deal with Heidelin, that something's going to go wrong with Heidelin. I think it's a big stretch to attach Heidelin to creepy unknown voice. That's my biggest stretch. I'm not sure, but I'd be lying to you, dear viewers, if I didn't say that it hasn't crossed my mind as a possibility. And also the fact that after this, we spent so much time talking about how this jail has been a strain on Hydaelyn. So I'm just like, Hydaelyn's on my brain right now, and I'm grasping at straws because that's the only thing I could possibly connect. I think it's a lot more likely this is some unknown being that we haven't met before that had something to do with the original final days. And much like no one thought it was important to tell us, hey, maybe don't kill Zodiark because bad stuff will happen. Maybe just no one thought to mention that there was this creepy, vaguely female voice whispering evil shit into the ancients' ears when the final days began.
Okay, I've got a theory. The level 83 quest we did before the Tabble of Babel, the Tower of Babel is called Gateway to the Gods. What if Zodiark and Hydaelyn, by basically creating this universe, made a sort of bubble where more traditional like gods couldn't access? And this is essentially them being like, shields down, let's go nuts. We're getting in here now. And we're going to get Jugman and whoever else is on the list. Ralger's like the most familiar one we have.
Because of the name, the place was named after Ralger, and we were looking at a statue of Ralger the whole time.
And we've seen the tablet and talked about him a lot. So that could be a case. It would be interesting for the story to parallel false gods and real gods, particularly when we get into gods made by man are fallible. And we've been exploring that idea for a long time with primals. What if at the end of days here, we are having an interaction with astral beings? And that could be one of them. Maybe our new villain, one that Xenos wants to eat or something. Maybe we even have to protect said gods from being eaten now. That's my theory. Shields are down. Other forces are now able to get in.
We really don't know what the final days has in store for us other than, untold horrors making manifest.
I like untold horrors.
But weren't they being summoned in because the Keening near Amarat set off the Amoratines' creation magics, and so they were unwillingly creating horrors? We don't have the same power level that the Amoratines have. So the horrors we create wouldn't be as bad. And we all don't even have creation magics anyway. It's actually super rare. I don't think the big surprise is, hey, the final days actually aren't that bad, because we all are very bad at making things.
And we even have the earlier moment where Thancred kind of acknowledges that if all this falls apart, Reen's in jeopardy. So by saving the source, he's going to save Reen too. It could be Stormblood times 13. You're like, we have to get not only this army together, but all the armies of the world.
It's not multiplicative, it's additive. It would be plus 13.
Well, if it's only 1 times 13, yes. Yeah, I guess it's only 1 times 13.
That would still be 13, not 14.
Oh, you're right. 13 to 1. Yeah, okay, you're right. You win, Mr. Math. It would feel weird to put an outside source after what we thought was going to be. Well, originally we thought it was going to be dealing with Emmet because we'd be strung along World of Warcraft style. Well, dealt with that. And then we thought it was going to be Elidibus. Oh, whoops, dealt with that. And now we've whoops dealt with Fandaniel. Whoops, dealt with Zodiark. So I guess we need another outside source, which plays into what Xenos is talking about with making the gods witness feasting upon the gods.
We basically only have 2 known threats, and one of them is a morass that we cannot really define. We don't know what's in store for us. That's the final days. That's a known threat, but that's all we know about it, is that the final days is a thing that happened and it was bad. The only other known threat is Xenos, and we do know, but we also really don't know how strong he can become and who these gods are that even wants to feast on at this point, because Zodiark is out of here.
If I had to put a name to it, I'd say that lady from World of Darkness. Crystal Tower was always coming up. Maybe World of Darkness is on its way. Big lady.
I'd be into that. I'd be okay with that. More of the Void, please. The Void is very cool.
Oh yeah, Void's awesome.
Void's a very cool threat.
They added the Reaper. You gotta get a shade from the Void to bless you. It's right there.
Let's do it. But our buddies show up. The Scions make it to the moon.
Juicing those Garlean souls.
It was already the juice is there. This is like complaining that you shouldn't have drank the guilt coffee after the latte was already made.
But the latte's made of evil, Garrett.
It's already made. It's already on the counter. You don't let it go to waste.
The beans were people.
So we proceed to go through the Watcher's records with the Scions. Like I said, it dates all the way back to Zodiark's imprisonment. They talk about how each rejoining, it strained the prison and strengthened Zodiark. Thirst for freedom, as the journal entry refers to it as. It's where we get into the taxation of Hydaelyn through imprisoning Zodiark and maintaining that prison all this time. Y'shtola even has a mention of like, oh, this is why we haven't heard much from her since the 7th Umbral Calamity. It's like, here it is, Kyle. This is like where my brain's is like, how does this affect Hydaelyn? Is Hydaelyn going to come in super powerful, just ready to throw down? Or does it take a dark turn? Hydaelyn's got all this power. This should be the most powerful we have ever experienced Hydaelyn now.
Yeah, she's all freed up. Got her schedule cleared.
And what form is that a good thing, or should we be concerned? That's my question right now.
I don't think the voice and Hydaelyn are the same thing, though.
I'm not necessarily going that direction. Let's strip it away. Let's separate it from that. Are we worried about Hydaelyn, or are we like, hell yeah, our buff friend is here to help us with the schoolyard fight? We get a name for the pre-sundered world, Aetheris, I think is the way it was pronounced. This is a reading scene.
You got applause for that on the stream. Yeah, I go with that.
Yeah. Anytime something gets named in a video game, I just assume we're going there. I don't know how we would go to Aetheris, but now that it has a name, I think we're going to end up there somehow, Kyle. Whether maybe it's like an Echo Solo Duty, or something much more complex that I am not seeing.
I don't think in Final Fantasy XIV, they name things you don't do anything with it. And certainly they have shown time and time again, and here we are yet again, they do things faster than you think. So yeah, that's happening. The gods are happening before we know it. Aetheris is happening before we know it. The final days, Hydaelyn dies. What else?
You're just going to speed past claiming that Hydaelyn dies. I think you're right, by the way.
She doesn't seem stable.
Zodiark's gone. We're going to have an imbalance. I think we're supposed to have a balance. And if nothing else, I think we're heading towards a post-primal existence. I think all primals need to be dealt with. And I would be surprised if we continue screwing around with primals after Endwalker.
I agree. I think primals and tempering is the end. That's the part we can cut off safely and say, that was the past, new expansion.
And 2-3 expansions from now, we find an old Allegan complex, and it's like, oh my god, it's basically making a primal. It's going to be this huge thing from the past. We're going to be so fucking stoked because they took such a long break from primals.
Exactly.
I'm so excited for the future of this game, by the way. I know I'm not done with Endwalker, but I'm so fucking stoked for where Dawn Trail's going to take us.
Call me a non-believer, but I'm always going to be skeptical of any ending because it's how I protect myself. It's how I stop myself from getting too invested. But this is all the correct beats. They're really spelling it out in an excellent way, and they have so many toys to play with. It's just about which one they want to play with now.
Anyway, we get a PowerPoint presentation from the Watcher. You love these, Kyle.
I do. I do love PowerPoint.
And I quite enjoyed this one. I usually kind of zone out, glaze over. The magic system of Final Fantasy XIV is a level of complex that does not draw me in. But it does for you. But I like this one. I like this one quite a bit. Essentially, Zodiark was a glorified pacemaker to just speed up flow.
I think that's a wonderful analogy.
Yeah, it's interesting to think of Zodiark reduced in such way, but this entire chapter is nothing. It's all about reducing Zodiark. There's also like we didn't get into the name dropping of the Loporits. I don't know. They were people that helped the Watcher and the maintenance of the jail that was mentioned in one of the logs. And when we talk to the Watcher, where we left off, we're like looking out of the vista at some other new structure, and we find out that the moon is a vessel that could usher us to sanctuary of some kind of safe haven, and this is Hydaelyn's entire contingency plan in case Zodiark did die. So we know we're about to meet someone new. I think it's going to be this Loporits that are referenced.
The dog petting person. That's the dog petting person over there.
Oh, that's what you're getting into. I mean, it refers to them as like it's a group, not a single person.
Multiple people can pet one dog.
Oh my god.
I've seen it done.
I'm not refuting that.
The moon's haunted. The moon's hollow. The moon is a spaceship that we can fly to places. And we know dragons are from another planet. So pick your poison, right? Where do you want to take the moon? Where are you going to drive the moon buggy?
I don't know. Like, there's so much unknown at this point. Like, what the hell is Heidelin's contingency? What's safer than the source? Where do you even go? I mean, I guess, yeah, you're right. You bring up dragons. You bring up Midgardsormr and the fact that we know that dragons come from a faraway planet, star, that isn't part of one of the 14 reflections we're assuming. What do we even do with that information? I don't know. I really don't know. And I'm excited that I don't know. I'm really excited to be this stumped. But it's also like, does it matter? Does it matter? Does the contingency matter? Because I think the whole point of Thancred being here and asking his questions, and as someone who kind of thought he had served his purpose in Shadowbringers, I was very surprised they didn't kill him off. Thancred, I think, is the vessel through which we establish the stakes as they are now with the final days coming in. If we're invoking... Because I'm jumping around in scenes a little bit here, but when we were still inside, before we walked to the precipice and look at wherever we're going next, Thancred, always thinking of Reen, asks what's going to happen to the other worlds should the source fall. And of course, the answer is bad. The Watcher tells us the reflections, based on the source, essentially they would be destroyed. All life on them would die. Why would you ask that question? Why would you give that answer if you're not reminding us that, right, that, you know, that whole other expansion on that whole other star that you spent time on with countless other lives and souls that we care about? Thancred's here to remind us of that. So it's interesting. I don't think they're bringing up Heidelin's contingency for just extra complication. I think we're going to find out what that contingency is, potentially go wherever it was intended to take us. But I don't think that's an out. I don't think we're abandoning the source. I don't think we can. That's the whole reason we have this scene here with Thancred. Does the source get destroyed and we spend time on the location of this contingency before finding a way to undo the tragic events, to undo the final days and restore the source? It's kind of where my brain's going.
That's mechanically possible.
You invoked Sailor Moon. I'm more of a Dragon Ball Z boy. But either way, all signs seem to be pointing to a pretty classic, you actually lose, the world is actually destroyed, but you find yourself safe in another location and you find a way to undo what was done. It's Van Daniel with the chair.
Oh, shit.
In comes Van Daniel with the Zodiac.
Only Van Daniels.